What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hawk Talk on Melrose YouTube page, where we are going to talk some Hawks. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and share with your friends. That is all we ask, and let's roll. All right, here we go. We are back after a very disappointing game last night as Iowa loses at Michigan State 32-20. Tyler, I did not see this coming. I actually went into this game, and I'm not always this confident. Maybe that's my problem, is I was a little overconfident about this game. I just looked at last week's game against Washington. You could maybe make the case that that was our best Big Ten victory since Penn State of 2021. And I just thought we were going to carry that momentum into this game. That was a complete game. Our defense played well. Our offense played well. Everything just worked that game. And I just thought we were going to carry that into this game. Another must-win game. Every game is a must-win game when you already have two losses. And you're playing a Michigan State team, not a horrible team, in a first-year head coach, Jonathan Smith, a quarterback that is talented but makes a lot of mistakes and is still very young. I just thought we would be able to come in and just kind of, I'm not going to say dominate the game, but like win by 2 touchdowns, 24-10, 31-17 type of victory. And boy, was I dead wrong on that.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was very surprising. Not that necessarily we came out in the first half and didn't do a whole lot. We've seen that throughout the season, unfortunately. But just after last week, like you said, I said it on last week's podcast. I said, man, this is the type of win, type of performance from really the offense too, and Cade, that like you can carry over and like continue to, build momentum in the passing game and whatnot and everything like that. But man, just how lifeless we were in the first half. I was texting you. I'm like, I felt like last year. It did. It had that PTSD of just a horrible product to sit at home and watch on, primetime NBC of all.
You have all day to look forward to it, and then that's what they give you.
You watch the games, you get excited. You watch other games, you get excited. Iowa games creeping up at 6:30, and then we come out and we look like that. It's just, but the big takeaway, that I think we'll hit on is just there was nothing to really be impressed about from Iowa, from offense, defense, or special teams. Really, I mean, besides maybe Weegan returning, that was maybe the highlight of the night, and that's unfortunately not the thing you want to lead with. Yeah, you don't. It was very surprising. I agree with you. I thought, 6.5 or whatever it got down to 5.5, the point spread for Iowa. I didn't make sense to me. But somebody smarter than me, somebody knows a lot more than I do about this team, because I didn't see this coming either, Collin.
And give props to Michigan State. And I told you this at halftime, that they seemed like a team that really utilized their bye week, unlike most of the time that we do. It just seemed like, once again, first-year head coach. They're 3-3, so they're not honestly bad in like the first year. And you just played Oregon, Ohio State, which are guaranteed losses at that point. You go into the bye week, it was almost kind of like a reset for them. And they just came out, they looked refreshed. They looked like they were almost kind of like a new team, that like they utilized the bye week to figure out, okay, what are they doing bad? What can they expand on? And unfortunately, I feel like we just got them at like the wrong time. Now, regardless, we should have won that game, right? Like at the end of the day, that's a game that you have to win. Like you just have to. Iowa, you got to go in there and win that game. But give props to Michigan State for that. So I want to first talk, and this is very surprisingly, because usually we always lead on the offense, because more times than not, the offense is pathetic or bad or gross. I'm going to lead with the defense this game, because I did not see this coming. This is probably the worst defensive effort that I can remember. I mean, you'd probably have to go back to Purdue 2017 or 2018 when Riley Moss was playing as a freshman and we gave up 40-some points, and we just could not stop them. Now, yes, we've given up a lot of points to other teams the last few years, but those are like really good teams, number one. And number two, if you watch the games, I've said this so many times, a lot of it has to do with the offense being so bad. Like Tennessee putting up 35 points last year in the bowl game. Well, 21 of those points came because of the offense. So this game was the worst defensive effort that I have witnessed for a very long time. 468 total yards for Michigan State. And once again, this is Michigan State that we're talking. We're talking essentially a redshirt freshman. I think he's a sophomore because I know he played a little bit at Oregon State last year. Aiden Childs, who had more interceptions than touchdowns going into this game. Look at the first downs, 27 first downs for them.
Yeah.
They were 5 for 13 on third down, which I actually thought maybe that would be a little bit more. Time of possession, 39 minutes to 18 minutes. And for a while there, like especially in the first half, I was like, okay, I can't really blame the defense all that much because our offense is not sustaining drives and they keep going out there. But as the game went on, it was like we just couldn't get stops. And so you got to start putting the blame a little bit on the defense when on first down, they're getting like 5, 6, 7 yards on first down and they're easily converting for more first downs than just sustaining drives. I mean, look at their drive chart here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, besides that one interception that they had the third possession of the game, they scored on every single opportunity besides one at the end of the second quarter, which they almost made that. I mean, that is not Iowa Phil Parker-led defense. And I know we were out. Yeah, they didn't have a punt
the whole game.
And Washington only had one punt last week.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Ohio State only had 1 or 2 the following week. So, and
3
I know
punts in 3 weeks for the defense.
We were without Castro, and I know that is, that sucks. And I think we missed him more than maybe we thought because going into this game, when you're talking like who's been really good on defense, I think we would all agree like Castro's maybe not playing up to the level that he played last year. But I think last night showed how valuable he is. He does the dirty work. He does things that you don't really see. Yeah. And he's very valuable. And then, Cohen gets hurt. So I don't want to say like, yes, a little bit was due to just the fact that we're playing a lot of younger guys right now because of some injuries, but still, you cannot let this happen. We couldn't tackle. Yeah. Our defensive line just did not look very good, did not dominate. We needed to pressure Aiden Childs, who once again threw more interceptions than touchdowns going into this game. You need to pressure him. You need to get him rattled. We just didn't do that. And it's just very, very pathetic because, yes, our offense was very pathetic in the first half, but we turned it around the second half. Touchdown, interception, touchdown. We had 3 touchdowns in the second half. And usually when you tell me that, it's like, okay, well, we probably end up winning because I feel like our defense, because we have seen it a lot, will hold them. Like we'll get a 3 and out. We'll get a stop. We'll get a turnover. But no, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. We had 4 possessions where we were only down by 1 possession or 4 drives that they had that we were only down 1 possession that we could have, okay, all we have to do is get a stop. We get the ball back and we might be able to take the lead. And every single drive, it was 9 plays, 75 yards, 7 plays, 38 yards, 6 plays, 2 yards, 9 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. And it's like, I mean, you're not going to win, especially when Iowa's offense isn't that high powered.
Yeah, the defense was surprising to say the least. And I'm glad you went off with that because, there was so much to talk about. I mean, I remember seeing a stat early on in the third quarter where it was like the average yards that Michigan State gained on first down was like 10.2. I don't even know how that's possible. Like for an Iowa defense, for an Iowa veteran-laden defense under Phil Parker, I thought they, like you said, I thought they had their worst game and that I can remember. I know I listened to Instant Iowa and Chris Hassel was saying, he's like, the last time I felt like coming into a game where you felt like you were supposed to win and you kind of got outclassed in the entire game was like when Purdue came to Iowa when we were ranked number 2. Yep. And I honestly kind of agree with that because just from how I felt going into the game and seeing what transpired was not even in the realm of possibilities of what I thought could happen in this game. And like you said, give credit to Michigan State, but man, our defense, and we could talk about it. Like I think we have a big issue on the other, opposite side of Jamari Harris. I don't know what's going on at that second corner spot, but it doesn't look good right now. I feel like teams are attacking it, whether it's Nestor last night or TJ Hall or, whomever's at that spot, they are going after him because I thought Jamari did a pretty good job of holding down his side of the field.
He always does.
He doesn't travel, so he doesn't always go with the best receiver, and teams know that. So the way they do, they line them, get their guys in spots against our second corner, and They just didn't hold up in coverage last night, but I'm not going to put all the blame on that. I think you said it at best. The defensive line felt like there was no pressure on Childs. Couldn't contain him in the pocket. He had how many rushing yards?
And we couldn't contain him. Like running the football. They had 212 rushing yards. Like, come on, defensive line. Like, you got to be better than that.
468 total yards from Michigan State is crazy to me. And like you said, for a guy that, is turnover prone at the quarterback spot, Childs, who he played, his best game probably that he's played all season. But at the same time, like, I just feel like we hurt ourselves in some of those situations, and just the tackling, like you said, I texted you early. I'm like, man, this looks bad. Like when we had him for 2 yards, they got 5 yards, 7 yards. And man, it doesn't look like an Iowa defense that I'm used to seeing.
And Childs going into this game, his completion percentage was 55%, which isn't good. In yesterday's game, 73%. And at one point, he was like 8 for 8 or something. Just getting anything he wanted.
Yeah.
5.3 rushing yards per attempt. Like, that's just not winning football. You're not going to be able to get off the field. But yeah, in that time of possession, 39 minutes to 18. I can't get over that, because that is what we pride ourselves on, is winning the time of possession. And that's not even close. I mean, they ran 70 total plays. Last week, Washington, 80 total plays. If that keeps happening, it's going to get even worse, because you're just going to keep getting more gassed.
This is looking like a trend now, Collin. I know we won the game and we dominated last week, but when you looked at the total yards, like, we gave up a lot of total yards against Washington. We gave up, a lot of some explosive plays, whether it was in the run game or pass game for Washington. And, we bent but didn't break in that game as well. And we came up with, the turnovers at the right time when they got in the red zone or whatever to kind of break that momentum. But the defense is definitely giving up a shit ton of yards this year. That's for sure.
And what's so surprising about all of this is, after last year, like, we essentially only lost one guy, and that was Cooper DeJean. But I think we're starting to see how good he actually was, because essentially Cooper DeJean, similar to Jamari Harris, but probably even better, just locked up one side of the field. So one side of the field, it's like, you can't even throw that way, because he's going to be there, and he's probably going to intercept it, or he's going to make a play. And I think, and I'm not want to say the word like we took for granted Cooper DeJean, but like, we definitely, like, what he did for us was so big, and we're seeing the repercussions of him not being out on that field anymore. And I'm glad you pointed it up, that other corner position, because, man, it is not good. I remember Phil Parker going into the season when the Big Ten bus came to Iowa City. He talked about the weakness being the secondary, and we all kind of were like, he's probably just saying that because, you're not going to.
Right. I remember saying that. Yeah. We were like, he's probably just trying to motivate him, whatever. But
I think he was telling the truth there. I mean, the secondary, besides Jamari Harris, I mean, even Xavier and Quinn, at times, like,
Quinn dropping that interception last night.
You can't let that happen. Whiffing on plays, not tackling. And we're now in week 7 or week 8, and we still have not figured out that other corner spot. Think about it. Every single game, it's like, okay, is it TJ Hall? Is it Deshaun Lee? Is it John Nestor? I mean, the first few weeks you can do that, but you would imagine one of those guys would step up, and it's like by like week 4, week 5, okay, that guy's the guy. Like, this guy is clearly the guy. Like, he stepped up, he's good. But like, none of them have showed that. And I know this is maybe a topic for after the season, but we're going to need to get a corner in the transfer portal so bad, because once Jamari leaves, yes, you have some younger guys that are like freshmen now that we haven't seen yet. Maybe they step up, but I mean, you're talking those 3 guys for 2 positions, and like, that just can't happen. Now, yes, they can get better, they can improve. I get that. But what we have seen so far, it's like, oh boy, we're going to need to get a transfer portal player. And I know going into this year, we kind of looked at trying to get a corner. We never did. And now we're kind of seeing like, man, like that would have been big time. All right, let's switch to the offense. Man, that first half felt like Brian Ferentz type of offense. It was just not good. I mean, you see here, if you're watching this on YouTube, punt, miss field goal, punt. And our longest drive was that 7-play, 32-yard drive. Other than that, it was
3 plays, 3 yards, 3 plays, 9 yards, 4 plays, 5 yards.
Not sustaining drives. I mean, and then look at the time of possession. So in the first half, I wasn't critical of the defense because it's like, man, well, number one, bend but don't break, which they were doing that. But
holding up the field goals,
I mean, when you're on the field and they go down the field and, it's an 8-play drive, and then our offense goes out there for a minute and 32 or minute and 50 seconds, like, what do you expect? The defense has to go right back on the field just after giving up, maybe a long drive, and they're already tired. You can't let that happen. Even if you don't score, it's all about sustained drives. I've said that, from day one with this new offense. It's like, I just hope we can sustain drives. Like, yes, I want to score, but if you can sustain drives, that is huge for this offense or huge for this team. Cade McNamara first half, we keep talking on this show. He's just not the guy. I'm sorry. Yes, he made a few plays in the second half, but in the first half, you once again, and I keep saying this, you're a 6th-year senior, and you're just not making the makeable throws that a Big Ten quarterback, a guy that has been playing football for a long time, you got to make. There was at least three passes in the first half that I can recall that were like, they were open. They were open. Like, you got to get that.
Very, very makeable throw. And you're not asking for, Patrick Mahomes out here. We're asking for you to step into the pocket and deliver the ball on time. And there was one to Gill on the side, like, that was for a first down that he completely missed, where I'm like, I am kind of out on Cade now. Yeah. You just see it too many times. The inconsistency is unreal. Under 50% passing. Like, dude, that first half, you cannot. And this is the other part. It's like, Iowa's offense is better this year, but we're still not really built, I feel like, to just come back from. I mean, I know it was only 12-0, but like, that felt like 40-0.
Like, you could definitely tell it's getting better, but like, yes, there is definite growing pains with this offense. But I think a little bit has to do with the fact that who we are trotting out there at quarterback is a little bit to blame, because he's just not very good. Yeah. And yes, he'll make a few good throws, and that throw to Reese Vanderzee was on the spot, was money.
Yep.
Okay, but
one play doesn't make up for the other 10 plays that he should have maybe had too, right?
There should have been a drive in there where it was just horrible, right? There should have been at least one drive in there where it's like, okay, let's just bring in Sullivan. Let's just see what happens.
Create a spark, maybe get something going. Maybe, like you said, even if you don't score, flip field position, right? Maybe get a few first downs and actually do something with the ball and put your defense in a better spot, and maybe not have them come out after a minute and a half of being out there last because you just went 3 and out.
And then we go into halftime and it's horrible. And credit once again to Tim Lester to making adjustments, because in the second half we looked a lot better. We came out, and I don't know why we didn't do this right away, but we started using the motions. We started doing a little bit of play actions. We did that RPO to Luke Lachey.
Yeah.
That was a nice yard play. We just looked like a different offense in the second half. And I was like, why couldn't we do this in the first half? But whatever. We got some touchdowns. We looked a lot better in the second half.
Yeah.
This is my thing that I just got really annoyed with, to me, was when Caleb Johnson had that 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I know where you're going to go here. Yeah.
Yep, to make it 25-20.
Yep.
We go for the 2-point conversion. Why in the hell is Cade McNamara out there on that 2-point conversion? Why isn't Brendan Sullivan out there, who has been money within the 5-yard line? There's been only one drive, and that was against Washington, that we didn't score. Other than that, it's been money. Even last night, his touchdown that he had, it was a bad snap. He had to catch it above him. Like, that could have been horrible. And he
disastrous, and he
did a spin move, and he got a touchdown because he can run the football. Why is Cade McNamara out there on that 2-point conversion? We are so bad at 2-point conversions. Bring in
Kurt
Sullivan.
Asked about that after the game?
I don't know. I didn't even listen to his presser because I was just so annoyed.
Yeah.
But
because that's unexcusable. I agree with you. Like, dude, he's our red zone within the 5-yard line, 5 to 10-yard line go-to guy. And it's been successful damn near every time. And like you said, we have a history of being so terrible at 2-point conversions where, why is he not the guy in there? Like, what? are we over? Like, is that a Kirk decision? Is that a Tim Lester thing? I'd be curious to know, I guess.
I don't know because it's so, I mean, even though we ended up that next drive on defense, we didn't stop them, but still, like, if you make it 25-22, you're only down by 3 now. All you need is a field goal, and you have a good field goal kicker. It's a little bit less like, because like at that point, it's like, okay, now we have to score again. Like, I don't know if I can trust Cade, right, to score again.
Yeah. I don't get it. It's like we get into some of these games and we overcomplicate things. I just don't know. We got away from what I felt like we did best against Washington. Remember that one drive we talked about? How creative the run game was.
That second drive of the game, where we went right down the field.
You had that pitch with Weegan and he came around. You had the spin around draw play from. We saw none of the creativity that I feel like we do when we're at home and we're playing with the crowd. It's like we get on the road and we look like a shell of ourselves. I thought there was zero creativity for Caleb Johnson. He had, besides his one touchdown, maybe,
he would have finished with 23 yards if he didn't have that 75-yard touchdown. Yeah.
Brutal game.
He finished with 98 yards thanks to that 75-yard touchdown. But credit Michigan State. They went in, and their defensive coordinator was at Minnesota the last 5 years, so he knows what Iowa's tendencies are. They went in just stop Caleb Johnson, make Cade beat you. And if Cade beats you, well, okay, whatever.
Live with it.
You live with it because it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Here's my thing now for the rest of the year as we sit here. I mean, as at 4-3, you have really nothing more to really play for because the Big Ten title is out of the cards. The playoffs is out of the cards. And I mean, what is there more to play? I mean, yes, go to a bowl game, but like we've talked about how like bowl games just don't really matter anymore with the playoffs. I really feel like at this point, you're starting to kind of look now into the future. And this is why I think not only is Cade, his performance just isn't there, but this is why I think you need to just turn to Sullivan because Sullivan's going to be your starter next year or more than likely, right?
Yeah.
So why not at this point in the season? We only got 5 games left.
Yep.
And he's going to be the starter next year more than likely. Why not give him the reins? Just kind of see what he does the rest of the year to get him prepped, get him ready for next year. Because once again, where is the loyalty for this Cade McNamara? Like, what do we owe him? Like, I don't get the blind loyalty that Kirk Ferentz has on Cade McNamara, where it's just like, nope, unless he's hurt, he's out there, no matter what. I just don't get it. I don't understand. I just think if you bring in Sullivan, and I'm not saying he's the best quarterback ever and he's going to be the answer and we're going to turn it around and we're going to put up 50 points every single time he's out there. I'm not saying that at all. But at this point in the season where it just feels like everything's kind of lost and kind of hopeless, and we know that Sullivan's more than likely going to be the starter next year, why not just give him the reins the rest of the year? That's just that's my opinion on that.
The loyalty is one thing, and you can definitely point to that as something that's such a fair argument. What it boils down to me is what is Cade doing on the field? He's doing nothing, virtually nothing. I mean, he might have the last 2 games, he finally has scored a touchdown against a Power 5 opponent as an Iowa Hawkeye. And so that's where I'm at with it. I think, for the most part, he's been wildly underwhelming as an Iowa quarterback. And I agree with you at 4-3 now, when maybe your goals and your, what you set out to do for the year is pretty much gone, I would say. I think that the standard was to compete for a title or get to, I think 10-2 is realistic. I think we all thought that, given what we had coming back. And now at 4-3, that's out of the picture. And
his interception, by the way, that one, I would like to know, I guess, once again, I should have maybe listened to the presser if that was miscommunication there, but that was a horrible throw. That was right to their safety. And it's just things like that just, and then like we talked about, just the missed throw. It's like the one that I can remember really good. I know you brought up the Jacob Gill one, but the one that he rolled out to the right and Reese Vanderzee was open.
Yeah.
And he didn't get him the ball. Or that other one to Reese Vanderzee that would have probably been a first down. I think it was after that interception that they had. So we were in plus territory and it was like 3rd and 5 and Reese Vanderzee did like a crossing route. And if he just throws it on the money, like
in time,
it might be 4th and inches or 4th and 1, but like you're
right there,
close to a first down. Instead, no, bad throw and miss field goal, and that's just how the story of the game went. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just sucks that every game the rest of the way, we knew it was like we had no more mulligans. I mean, losing to Iowa State, you had no more mulligans. You have to essentially win out. And we knew like the minute we lose, it just is going to feel kind of hopeless. It's in kind of what we thought, like, okay, if we lose to Minnesota, right? Like this is going to be bad. And so got Northwestern on the table, then Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska. It's after last night, I know sometimes we get a little, I don't know what the word is, but it's, if our defense doesn't step up and our offense is like inconsistent where it's like one half good, one half bad, I don't know. This could be a long rest of the year. I feel like every year we say that and we turn it around and it's like, wow, but I don't know. It's just, it feels like to me, it feels kind of like an 8-4, 7-5 team at this point, which really sucks given what the expectation was and the hype was going into the season.
Well, yeah, when you play like you did against Washington, you feel like the last 6 games of the year, you can beat everybody, right? But then when you play this way against Michigan State, you feel like you might be in a dogfight against any of those teams. So Wisconsin's looking a lot better. You know, Maryland just beat USC, right? That's not a gimme. Nebraska, I know, got hammered, but it's still Nebraska. I mean, there's still...
that game is going to be close. Like it always is.
It is. Exactly. Yeah. So there's 3 games right there that you just don't know. So, I mean, you're exactly right. 7-5, 8-4 could be the ceiling. I don't know. It's definitely not the team that I thought this was going to be. And that's sad is, we had a high expectation for this team and we fell short. That's for sure.
Yep. I mean, given everybody coming back and given the schedule, we had a very, very good schedule break in this new Big Ten, right? We kept talking about the new Big Ten.
Good point.
And we got very lucky this year where we avoided some of the better teams. Although if there was a year to play Michigan, would be this year, right? If there was a year to play USC, it'd be this year. Of course, we had to play Ohio State, who's, top 2 in the Big Ten, but we still got a schedule break. I mean, that was the only quote unquote tough game.
Yeah. And no Indiana, no Illinois. They're actually pretty good teams this year too.
They are. So, and it just sucks because if we do finish 8-4, 7-5, it's like, man, what a lost year, what a bad year. And it's so unfortunate. And it really sucks because now the offense is better, but the defense is kind of taking a step back a little bit, right? I mean, you're not going to keep that up forever.
Teams, right? A little bit too.
Yeah, special teams as well. Yeah. And we're seeing the, the worst of it. So, I hope we can. I don't know. It's just one of those things where
at this point, you gotta move forward. Obviously, it is what it is. You don't want to let this thing spiral out of control and have a losing season. That's for sure. But
exactly.
But you gotta get back on the horse and get back to work. I'm sure. I saw something too. It's like, or maybe it was Instant Iowa or something. They were like talking about just how bad the defense played. You're like, I wonder how tough this week's practice is going to be under Phil.
Because it was not going to be good.
Yeah. Feel bad for those defensive guys, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that will do it for this episode. We will end it there. Northwestern on the table. Next game, should be but similar to the Michigan State game, I thought that should be, not an easy win, but should be a win. And so, and once again, Northwestern, I feel like no matter what, we always keep that game close as well. So no game is ever easy for Iowa. Well, that will do it. Thanks you guys for listening. Have a good rest of your week and go Hawks.